Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Welcome back.
Just double check and make sure we got everything here. So, yes, all of New Orleans without power after Hurricane Ida leaves catastrophic transmission damage. And Ida came ashore, 150-mile-an-hour winds, Category 4. It's a big one. 9/11 system is offline.
It's huge.
As
Yes.
we see, more than a million people without power. This is one of the strongest hurricanes on record in terms of wind speed and pressure to make landfall in Louisiana. Timing of the landfall was on the 16th anniversary to the day of Katrina. Yes, we had talked about this. And the other thing with Ida is, we had talked about, well, watch it get slower as it comes and impacts and then just hangs around. Well, yeah, look at this. Come Friday, it'll still be over land, albeit probably, well, maybe just off land up in New England. But, all week long, Ida is going to be delivering a lot of rain all throughout, not just, Louisiana currently and into Mississippi, but moving on into Alabama, Tennessee as well. Give you some rain probably in North Carolina as well, Virginia, West Virginia, Kentucky, maybe Southern Ohio, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts. This is going to be around a while. 16 states under flash flood advisory throughout the week.
I know, and I can't help but think about everybody who's being affected and all the animals too. Let's not forget our pets, livestock. Gosh, I hope everybody's okay.
So yeah, there's a road under there somewhere, as you see. Make a left if you want to go to New Orleans. Of course, you're going to need a boat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's basically what we knew was going to happen. As you see, big storm surge came in. They were expecting up to 16 feet in some areas. There's tons of videos out there all over Twitter and the news, showing this storm surge and the big inundation. And, again, you have another situation where people are climbing onto their roofs because that's the only thing that's going to keep them dry, and then just waiting it out. Everywhere we go, we're going to have choices to make as far as, what are we going to be facing? We're going to be facing floods. We're going to be facing wildfires.
Mm-hmm.
And here you see an interesting little exchange. The American people deserve answers. JB, I'm not supposed to take any questions, but go ahead. The reporter says, Mr. President, on Afghanistan, and JB says, no, I'm not going to answer Afghanistan now, and walks away.
Mm-hmm.
Because, again, I think more people are waking up to the fact that this isn't the real command and control center. Thank God, in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good question. Would you rather have these people that we see in charge or the dark forces that really control the planet? It's scary either way you look at it.
It is, and it's really like such an illusion too between who really runs things and who appears to run things. So that trick on the eye itself, I think, is very difficult on the heart because we want to understand. People just want to understand. A lot of us are why people. And if things aren't adding up, it just kind of eats at you, kind of like chips away at you like a broken statue for eternity.
Yeah, and so I'll give you guys a little puzzle um, out there, and let's see who can figure out what I'm talking about doing it cryptically. 2005, right?
Mm-hmm.
2005, C period, C period, P period,
Mm-hmm.
GEN period, aircraft carriers,
Mm-hmm.
not needed. Why? And then let's just jump ahead to something I was going to show you later on. By the way, Japan no longer using this type of, well, you know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Contamination, 2.6 million. This is out of RT. and watching that story going on. And not every country across the globe, while there is a big push everywhere for a certain procedure, what is being used is not created the same way. Look to that. Look to each country out there and what they are using. Then go back, and if you could find this statement in 2005 by GEN period of C period, C period, P period. Well, I think you get the bigger picture. You might get the bigger picture. I know there's some of you guys out there that follow right along. Can anybody tell me what flew over me? 4. So just showing there's been a lot of plane activity, curious plane activity, suspicious plane activity, military plane activity. We had shared with you that I got the message in 2016 before the election that year. The guides came through to me and they clearly spoke to me and said, Trojan horse, Trojan horse. Now, you know, that picture is very clear to me now, what's going on. And then we looked to a certain website that had a certain report that was removed. And that report had certain numbers referring to different numbers of individuals currently back in 2017 alive in those various places, locales around the world, as we're trying to at least, you know, make IA work. And then the FOR cast for 2025. And now it's so easy to see what is really going on with those numbers. It's clear to see. Did you guys notice the dawn this morning? Did it look a little red to you? Kind of a reddish tinge to the dawn?
I would certainly not want to wake up to that.
Yeah, well, what if it's already happened and we just don't realize it? It's already happened. You know, what if you look at certain countries, look at Australia, and of course we've talked about the LOCK, period, 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 DOWN, and how severe it is there. Well, what if the ones really in charge are just initiating a new system for that country? Because ultimately, in reality, the ones in charge are already the period dash C period dash C period dash P. I hope you guys can figure that. I know some of you can. Other ones are going to be just chasing their tail.
Yeah, some folks can put it down in the comments. Is that safe?
Yeah, well, yeah.
If you catch on to help other people.
Global Star Iridium jump on rumors new iPhones may use satellite connectivity. I had visions last night of, well, what I thought was satellites being deployed in space, new satellites being deployed. And then we got information in the middle of the night from the GF, our contact there, Laurel, who was kind of confirming some stuff and actually had a recommendation, a strong recommendation that we would not necessarily, this is for everybody out there, you might want to ditch your smart PHONES at this point. because things are going live, so to speak, to an even higher level. So, that's part of the plans and part of the things that will have to be implemented this coming week. And so, many people make use of very, very cheap phones. There are
Yeah.
really cheap phones you could get
Yeah.
out there.
Some that you could just, burn it if you don't like it. I mean, they're super cheap.
Yeah. So, now is the time to, if you've been thinking about it, hey, I don't like my Verizon plan. I don't like my AT&T plan. I don't like the fact that this thing is, putting out so much RADs. I don't like that, I might be having a conversation in front of more people than I intended. Well, it might be time to say bye-bye
Yep.
to those SMART phones and think about a burner as well. So interesting. Talking about burners, there was a huge blaze that broke out on an 18-story block of flats with more than 100 inside, and this is in Milan, Italy. They don't know the cause currently. Blaze broke out in the building's 15th floor. We've seen a lot of unexplained fires as well, and we had talked about this new island, Fukutoku Oka Noba. Yes. New island being made over there. This is off the coast of Japan. And volcanic activity, as we've talked about the prophecies from Mother Shipton, the Casey, and many others talk about all new lands. And Mother Shipton says that ultimately the lands that are inhabited now will not be the primary lands to be inhabited in the future, but it'll be the new land that comes up that's absolutely pristine and fertile from Mother Earth.
Oh gosh, that just feels like such a beautiful, beautiful thing.
And we have restaurant reservation app. It's going to have a new integration in there, a new status that's going to be put in there as well. We knew all this. Every single thing, step by step, is coming down exactly as thought. There's no surprises here, none at all.
No, there's not. We've been kind of, talking about this in the forefront of it for a very long time, probably to the point where people might actually be bored, but here you go. Here it is.
A month's ration of bread now at 44% of the monthly minimum wage in Lebanon. And this is exactly also what has been expected. And basically it's a big global struggle that's going to be happening, as you see that other little headline was talking about Mount Etna once again, another big explosion up to 30,000 feet. And we have to get as self-sufficient as you can. And we just basically did an inventory. I took an inventory yesterday, got organized, took an inventory. It's been bothering me, and I felt really, really anxious, like the guides were nudging me. And we knew we took losses when we were in New Mexico because we had stored everything in the camper, and then we had an infestation in the camper, in which it did cost us hundreds of pounds of food.
It did, and the mice are okay though. They're prepared.
Oh, they got a big, big buffet.
They do, yeah.
But so didn't have as much as I had really thought we did have. So I went and spent a ton yesterday ordering stuff to replenish and stock, even though it was uncomfortable to do so. At the same time, with inflation and with shortages coming in, because we're hearing of more and more significant shortages, more and more different locales. And the guides, the galactics, they've told us this is go time now. It's go time. This is only going to keep ramping up. We are in the thick of it, guys. Big tech wants to build a metaverse. What on earth does that mean? Well, it's a virtual reality place. And again, it boggles my mind. There was a gentleman that we used to see when we would go to a certain establishment. And literally all he ever did was play his video games. And he was like 60 years old. all he was doing was living his virtual reality world, even though, he had a pretty good life in this world.
Mhm.
And yet he was investing like $18,000, $20,000 into buying virtual property in a game. And that just blew my mind. I was
Wow.
like, people do that? That sounds just so crazy.
I've never ever heard of that. That is crazy. But you know what? We do stuff like that. We invest ourselves to things that are not tangible all the time.
Well, this is basically, it comes all the way back again to Facebook and Zuckerberg. Uh, it's all basically, they say, another opportunity to advertise. Hundreds of millions of people in a metaverse compounds the size of, can you imagine the size of the digital economy inside of it? Facebook moved closer to this vision of a metaverse, alternative reality universe where people could run away from this one and go play inside, because obviously people do want to run away from this one at times now.
Mm-hmm.
And they're working on a way to make a virtual reality workplace for remote workers. They're also working on smart wristbands and VR goggles that project the wearer's eyes. They're putting billions into this. All this to me sounds like more assimilation into a Borg.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just me. Maybe other people don't view it that way. They view it as, hey, it's going to be a great game. I'm just psyched to go. The metaverse doesn't exist today, no clear date for its arrival. But yet, he has a pledge to bring 1 billion people on into this world once it's created. There's one thing that we've noticed through all the channeling that Cindy's been doing and all, is that there's a dark side counterpart to everything that is organic and natural. And it's a twisted dark side counterpart. Everything about the system is twisted. It's upside down and twisted. It's almost like everything is done as a purposeful insult to the natural order of things that comes directly from source, God with the big G, the real prime creator.
Right. Or, it's always done to separate us from the prime creator and making something synthetic. And it's that synthetic thing that they want to kind of tie people to for eternity.
So, Laurel last night was giving us a pep talk because, she was just basically saying, and again, that's our GF contact, galactic FED ration, and just basically saying, how good it's going to be when we get past this period in time is it's going to just be mind blowing to us. The reality is, we've lived. And many people have made the equation, well, perhaps, hell is actually what we have found on Earth already. And it doesn't have to be that way, as we were talking about the Gnostic vision of everything 3D being inferior and being negative and horrible and wrong, and putting blame on Sophia or the goddess, or because she gave birth to the demiurge, which created this universe, um, or this portion of the multiverse. But it's not always this way. Again, it depends on where we are. It depends on the yugas. So it's like this when we're in the Kali Yuga. It's certainly not like this when we're in the Sata Yuga or even the Treta or Dwapara. Basically, we have been in that dark age. And yeah, first we have to go from the dark age into like an iron age, and then you go into a silver and then into a golden. Although this cycle is a much, much bigger cycle. That's one of the things we've gotten from them. This is not, we've gone through that rotation tons of times, and we have missed the chance to ascend multiple times in mass. People can always ascend. Individuals are ascending all the time. There's individual cases of ascension all the time. As we've shared, Yeshua ascended. And others too. Many yogis have ascended, many other holy, quote unquote, beings, are just people that can tap into the true nature of reality and understand source. So many Buddhist monks have understood this and have ascended tens of thousands of cases of people achieving the rainbow body. Individual ascension can happen anytime, at any age. But the chance to ascend in mass, which would be happening this time through because of the bigger cycle, if not for the interference that we see. So we have to be very, very careful and very, very aware of all the different plans and programs, procedures, and everything that's out there that could possibly weigh us down, slow down our vibration. This time period is one in which the DNA changes that would be happening naturally would be astounding, as people would be waking up and saying, I don't got to call my brother. I just got to think, Tom, call me. And then there's that text or there's the phone buzzing. It would get that to that level where you wouldn't even need the phone. Think about it. Again, why are they going to give us so much more technology? It's all going to tie us down. It's all going to uh, take us away from developing our innate abilities. There was a time when the world was unified. And when we talked about the Denisovans and Neanderthals and Cro-Magnon and so many other uh, humanoid beings that were here, they had these abilities. They were much more at one with the earth. They were in balance. This is about balance. So we're going to do another video, hopefully today, if not tomorrow, that's going to be talking more about what we've gotten from the Galactic Federation in depth. Be aware, there are those out there that are portraying themselves as coming from the GF, but they're not. There are renegade, um, well, you could almost, it's funny, the word that she used uh, was basically there are these beings that have done some darker things. And when we talk about the third REICH, which obviously goes with the NAZI, think about the swastika. The swastika is a symbol you'll find all over the Sanatana Dharma, the tradition that comes out of the Indus Valley, because it's a symbol of power. It's been twisted, inverse, twisted, put on its side by the dark forces. That's what they do with everything. They twist and pervert everything. Even Pleiadians, who for many of us are some of our cousins, relatives, which again, the Pleiadians really come from Lyra. And it's after the massive wars that took effect that many refugees fled to the Pleiades. These wars were only on one outpost, one tiny little outpost, one little speck where that these wars and these conflicts are going on.
With a very small sliver of an understanding of the much, much, much bigger picture. But this is for us to unravel. This is our history or our future. Take it as you will. It's for us to take a look at and learn from and grow with.
And even fifth dimensional Pleiadians can, basically succumb to the dark side. And it's just the nature of things. So, yeah, there were some that didn't get along or didn't want to go along with the, the whole anymore. So when you're in fifth density, it's a real fun place because you still have the ability to create very quickly, to manifest things in a magical sort of way. Things still feel very tangible. You're still an individual totally, but yet you get a much stronger sense of the collective. There's a much stronger sense of the oneness that exists behind all things than we would have in 3 and 4D. So it's a place where a lot of souls want to play and hang for a long period of time. It's really a great place, wouldn't you say, for many? When you get up into 6, then it becomes more of a collective, and you start to um, do things as more of a collective. But even in the 5th, you're doing things always in typically with the greater good for the all in mind. And so there are some of these beings which we know that the NAZI, before, prior to World War II, came in contact with very, very Nordic looking beings, very, very Pleiadian looking beings. And they were given technologies and they worked with them. Well, those beings were under the Draco. They're under the power structure of, going on up the line, the Ajiji, the Anunnaki, and going up from there. Unfortunately, you could view them as beings that were infected by this dark side energy and started to become assimilated themselves into the BORG, the AI, dark black goo, BORG. So be aware that there is channeling coming out and messages coming out from them. And be aware too that, again, do you trust the mainstream media? Most people now, I think pretty damn close to most, if not half, would say no. Well, look and see whose messages are being subverted. Now, there's some great channels out there that used to get 75,000, 250,000 views per video, and now they get 300, 700, 1,000. Okay, that's going to be a legit message. You could almost just look at it and say, well, if all of a sudden now they're not getting out there, they must be telling the truth, because who's in charge of this? The Dark Ones. The Dark Ones control the dissemination of information. Now, if this, these sources are getting tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of views, you should be wary of it, because they're not being suppressed. What does that mean? Well, that means they're probably part of the system. It's only just pure logic to look at it along those lines. Again, we are behind enemy lines here. You have to recognize that. We're kind of like soldiers, so to speak, that are trapped way beyond the friendly lines.
And they want to give us the illusion that we have choice. They want to give us the illusion that we have freedom. And what better way to do that than seriously control our surroundings? And they do that very, very well.
Yep. So again, build that discernment, which you can only do by going within, and really a strong meditative practice, Qigong, yoga, those things are just critical at this time period. Doing the mantras again will raise your vibrations. And we want to thank everybody that has been ordering for medicinal foods. Feedback has been amazing. Use the coupon code EEA for an extra 5% off your order, and fill up your cart at checkout and get automatic discounts up to 25% off and free shipping. And medicinal foods is the only one we've chosen to go with, even though every day we literally get 6 to 10 companies reaching out and saying they want to advertise with us, and it boggles my mind, because so many of them are like clothing and cryptocurrency and different things that just don't feel like us.
Right.
That's why we've basically only chose this to go with, because these are products that will help your health. We know that they're safe. We trust in Sky and everybody over there at Medicinal Foods, and they're part of this family. They've been part of the family way before. They asked me like 3 years ago to come on with them with Evolutionary, and I said I don't want to do any advertising, period. I don't want to push anything. But then I got from the guides, they're gonna buy stuff anywhere. Why not, where it's safe? So it just made sense, and it does support the channel as well. And we want to thank our family members from Patreon and Ko-Fi, because again, we couldn't do it in these times without that. And we do understand things are going to be getting a little bit tighter for everybody going forward. unless, we choose to be assimilated.
Right.
But yeah, it's critical that we work together. And Ko-Fi works the same way. You could do basically a one-time donation, which does help. And also you could do it monthly, just like Patreon. So guys, be prepared out there. Work on that spiritual discernment. Have a regular spiritual practice every day. We don't go into a black pit of nothingness. And we're not going to be tortured forever by a vindictive God. It's not like that. That's not really how this universe works. Consciousness goes on. It always goes on. This is a temporary experience. This is a challenge. You decided, to jump on this ride, so to speak, at some point in time. And yeah, the controllers, what are they trying to do? They're trying to keep you on the ride. Even when you decided, I want to get off at this point, they're trying to keep you on the ride as long as they're on the ride, which might be for eons.
Mhm.
So it's so important for people to wake up and realize your own power and not give away your power, not go along with the dark agenda.
Absolutely. Keep that in mind. Take it to heart and be good to yourself and be good to other people.
And if you're not subscribed, make sure to subscribe, click the bell, and share, because we have to get to a critical point. We have to wake up. It's all about waking up a certain percentage of the population, and then we'll get this shift that will happen.
Mm-hmm.
The quicker we wake up people, the quicker we get out of this dark paradigm, and the quicker we escape the clutches of the dark forces.
Absolutely.
God bless and namaste.
Namaste.